Assalamu alaikum. So why does MBS pour $142 billion into Western weapons if it doesn't intend to even lift a finger for Gaza, Al-Aqsa, or the liberation of Palestine? I'll tell you why. The sight of the Gulf Arab rulers, traitors draped in silk and gold, throwing obscene sums of money at their imperial master Trump would make any believer retch with disgust. These billions, trillions aren't theirs to give. They belong to the Islamic Ummah, stolen from its oil. Over a 72-hour window, as Gaza's hospitals crumble and hundreds of children are buried beneath Zionist bombs, these Arab puppets humiliate themselves, falling over one another in a grotesque contest of who can bribe Washington more in return for protection for their tyrannical monarchies. Saudi Arabia pledges $600 billion, rumored up to $1 trillion. Qatar gifts a $400 million luxury jet, then promises $1.2 trillion more. UAE commits $1.4 trillion over a decade. The figures are truly mind-boggling and defy common sense, because no other nation squanders its wealth from such a position of power with such foolishness, cowardice, and betrayal. But what can you expect from the palace dwellers of Riyadh, Doha, and Abu Dhabi? While America stands politically strong but economically on life support, these Arab rulers, rich in oil, bankrupt in honor, vision, or courage, fail to convert their wealth into strength. Instead, they buy weapons they can't use, pay for wars against Muslims like Yemen, and fund the largest arms deal in history, $142 billion, aimed not at the Zionist genocide, but to ensure the survival of the House of Saud, repress their own people, and to be the first line of defense for Israel. MBS couldn't even find the courage to utter the words Gaza or Palestine in front of his master Trump. And why would he? He's always made it clear, I don't care about Palestine, my people do. Saudi Arabia proudly sent 6 fighter jets to escort Trump's Air Force One. Qatar flexes with 8 fighter jets in formation, but neither could send a single plane to break 19 months of Zionist genocide in Gaza or prevent 62,000 plus Palestinians being martyred, 100,000 tons of bombs being dropped, not a single Arab jet in the sky. Worse still, Saudi, Qatar, the UAE, they don't just stand by. They in fact bankroll the very system that fuels Israel's killing machine. Every billion-dollar arms deal signed, every fighter jet, missile, and radar that is purchased from the US, every investment into Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Boeing keeps America's defense industry alive and thriving. And that industry, it's the lifeline of Israel's army, its bombs, its bullets. The factories that arm Tel Aviv to bomb Gaza are propped up by Saudi petrodollars. They don't just fund Zionist aggression indirectly, they fuel the entire supply chain that murders Palestinian Muslims daily. The truth is, the capitalists have no religion, no loyalties, no eternal allies, and no permanent enemies, only interest, as Lord Palmerston famously declared in 1848. Now, Trump is the walking embodiment of this capitalist creed. He made no secret of his mission to the Gulf. I'm here for the money, bragging about extracting trillions from the Gulf Arab treasuries. It's not personal, it's not political, it's profit, full stop. Look at Ahmed al-Shara, once demonized as Abu Muhammad al-Jolani, with a 10 million US bounty on his head. Today, he shakes hands with the American envoy's president with sanctions lifted. The Zionists put on pause, cold shoulder, back burner. Ukraine discarded like yesterday's news. Why? Because the only thing that matters is interest. These Arab rulers, desperately clinging on to the West for their survival, are disposable tools in a system that will use them and discard them at will. They live on borrowed time, propped up by American military hardware, Wall Street investments, and oil dollars that feed the West's dying economy. Because capitalism, the West, and Trump worship only one God, self-interest. And these rulers, they are servants of that false deity, buying time with blood and wealth of the Ummah. They fear the Gulf's own Arab Spring more than they fear Allah, and that's why they remain tight in America's grip. The Gulf states tightened their chains of dependency on the US. At first, the glitzy mega deals, the flashy AI investments, and the billion-dollar tech partnerships signed by the Gulf Arab rulers might look like a bold leap into modernization and economic progress. But behind the headlines and hollow speeches hides a more sinister reality. These deals are not a sign of independence at all, rather they are shackles. Rather than fostering true technology transfer, industrial self-reliance or local capacity building, these contracts in fact lock the Gulf economies into America's technological ecosystem, an ecosystem carefully engineered to be impossible to disentangle from. It's not about empowerment at all, it's about entrapment. From weapon systems, ammunition, spare parts, software control, to training, support services, and endless maintenance contracts, the Gulf states are trapped in a cycle of dependency where nothing works without Washington's blessings. They are not partnerships, they are control mechanisms. And the cherry on top for America, well, these deals act as a strategic firewall, ensuring China and any other rival stay locked out of critical Gulf sectors. Washington's growing paranoia over Beijing's creeping influence in the Muslim world makes these arrangements even more essential to preserve American hegemony over Arab economies and militaries. For America, it's a double jackpot, a massive injection into its recession-hit economy and a tightening of the geopolitical leash around the Gulf monarchy's neck. And for the Arab rulers, well, they get to keep their thrones safe for now by trading away their nation's resources, wealth, and independence. Trillions won't buy stability, honor, or dignity for the Arab rulers. The Gulf Arab rulers are deluded into thinking that trillions of dollars in vanity projects, glittering skyscrapers, imported distractions like boxing matches, football, and Hollywood stars will buy them stability, honor, and global respect. But they couldn't be more wrong. Whilst they parade their oil wealth to attract vultures like Trump and his capitalist friends, they trample on Islam, Da'wah, Gaza, Palestine, and the suffering of the Muslim Ummah. There is no genius, no foresight, no statesmanship in handing over obscene sums of wealth to sustain the bankrupt American economy and its war machine. And make no mistake, this is not a sign of progress or civilization. It is surrender dressed as success. True civilization is measured by justice, by standing up for the oppressed, by defending Al-Aqsa, by upholding the dignity of the weak, by building a society rooted in Islam, principles, peace, and unity. History remembers the Islamic Khilafah, not for its skyscrapers or football, but for fostering a civilizational model where Muslims, Jews, Christians, and others lived together under justice, safety, and security. That was true power and true success. Today, the Muslim world holds within its hands the wealth, the resources, the expertise, and the strategic geography to lead once again and make the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prevail. But what it lacks is visionary, sincere leadership who reject the slavery to the West and commit to uniting the Ummah under one political will. Instead of nurturing independence and building a political and economic powerhouse, the Gulf rulers have thrown away trillions in desperation, prioritizing the security of their palaces and the survival of their thrones over the dignity of their people and the honor of Islam. They have traded the legacy of the Khilafah of Islam for the empty glamour of the casino. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.